Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hi, ISD people. I'm saying hi, Kaylin and dog lover Jackie. So why don't we start off with any questions? So if you have any questions, great. Let me know what they are. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right in. I had a good question from somebody on Instagram, and it was a sort of vague question, and it was very hard to answer at the time, but I can answer it now. It's just hard to type it. So basically, somebody reached out to me and they said, "Hey, I've got district band coming up. Hi, art lover. How do I learn my music?" And I thought, ooh, there's so much there because I don't know how you play and I don't know what kind of music you have. So my advice in a situation like this is to break it down into little pieces. So if you have a lot of music and it seems overwhelming to learn it, go ahead and just do little bits at a time. Hey, wow, hi everybody. So when you have music that's a lot, I'm gonna actually grab a piece of music and I'll show you what you mean. How do you stop squeaking? Great question. So, for instance, I was working on this one today, right? And so playing through it in the beginning's fine, rhythms aren't too hard at all, but up here in the altissimo section where it got really high, that one gave me a problem. So what I would do is I would just work on that section and then just that measure and then just those two notes or even just that one note at a time. So it helps to break it into little pieces and then work your way forward from there. So when you have a lot of music to learn, break it down into lots of little pieces and then build it up from there. Always make sure that you build it with the pieces that are around it or the parts that are around it that you play really well. That's one of the things that's really frustrating for me when I hear the phrase practice makes perfect. It's not really practice that it makes perfect. It's practicing well. I don't even want to say perfect practice because there's no such thing as perfect, but practicing well makes perfect or good playing. Okay, so let's jump in with some of the questions that I'm hearing today. Okay, so 504 Esterosa, how do you stop squeaking? That is also an excellent question. Okay, so I'm going to grab my clarinet first of all, and I'm going to talk to you about reed placement. So you want a reed that's in good condition, no cracks, no splits in your reed, and you want to make sure it's lined up nicely onto your mouthpiece right there. So you can get squeaks from here and the reed. So we're going to start right here with the reed. Sometimes squeaks can do with your embouchure. So if you don't have that firm bottom lip and your chin pulled down and you're biting, that'll cause a squeak, especially if you have a light reed in there. Okay, now we're going to move down the clarinet past the squeaking points of our embouchure and the reed. If your mouthpiece isn't in good shape or you don't have a great quality mouthpiece, sometimes that can cause squeaking. Sometimes your ligature can cause squeaking. So the standard ligatures that our clarinets come with, they aren't so fantastic, and if they aren't balanced really well, you can get squeaks from there. Continuing down. So assuming your clarinet is in good playing condition, a lot of squeaks come from people's hand positions. Now, let's address the good playing condition thing. If you have any kind of cracks in your clarinet, splits in the wood, that'll cause squeaks. If you have any pads that aren't, my light behind me is not helping here, but the pads, if they're not lining up and things like that, that'll cause squeaks. If you have split pads that are in bad shape, that'll cause squeaks. There's so many reasons we can have squeaks. All right, bumping side keys, that's one I thought that causes squeaks. Not covering the holes with the fleshy part of your fingers, that causes squeaks. And then the classic overblowing, just using too much air, that causes squeaks too. So we have a lot of reasons for squeaks. So I definitely have a squeak checklist that I go through with people and myself when squeaks happen. And you can feel it, sometimes you'll feel it in that reed like it's coming, and then you can duck out of the way real fast. Okay, next question. How many times should you change your reeds? Ooh, that's also a good one, especially because reeds tend to wear out slowly, so you get used to that sound change, and then by the time the reeds are kind of in bad shape, we've gotten used to that sort of tinny sound that comes with it. So it all depends on how much you're playing. Changing reeds is very, very personal. I usually rotate through every 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, depending on how much playing I'm doing that week. Reeds are expensive, so I understand why that would be something that people are like, wait, no. So a good rule of thumb is if the reed starts to sound bad, if the reed is split or cracked or warped or dried out, or even worse of them all, black and moldy, which I've also seen, then it's time to get a new reed. When it's black and moldy, it was time to get a reed about 3 weeks ago. Okay, so when it starts to sound bad, when it starts to feel bad, when it's unresponsive and you're not getting what you want out of that reed, it's time to change that reed. Now, if you're sick, and we are definitely in the time period for people getting sick, change your reeds, just throw them all away. I keep them, like I had a cold the past 2 weeks, so I'll just keep playing on those reeds, then I toss them and I disinfect my reed holder and my mouthpiece and stuff like that. So you want to get them out of there if you're sick. Okay, next question. When did I start playing the clarinet? Oh, a question about me. Yay, thank you, Crystal. Wait, no, Kaylin. Crystal, thank you for the reed changing one. So Kaylin, I started playing the clarinet when I dabbled in it in about 4th and 5th grade, and then we moved and I dropped it. So I didn't play it for a while. And then I played saxophone in jazz band. And then it wasn't until about 9th or 10th grade where I really got into it, and then I played a lot, and I was playing in high school band, and I did outside ensembles and stuff like that. So I'd say I started a little bit when I was about 11 because it looked like a recorder, and then I bailed out a while, and then I jumped back in. Okay, next question. What is my clarinet setup? Yamaha CSVR. Ooh, Mason, I love that clarinet. I like the Yamahas a lot. They're very, very, very good with intonation, so they're good clarinets. I have a Bakun mouthpiece here, a D'Addario reserve reed. It's a 4, and a Silverstein ligature. My barrel, which is on sideways, so please forgive me, is a Rice Clarinet Works barrel, and my clarinet is a Buffet Prestige, and then my bell is also Rice Clarinet Works. It's a bell from them too. It matches the barrel. So that's my setup. All right, next question. I've been playing clarinet for 3 years, and my director is having me teach someone how to play. Ooh, what's the best way to teach them? One of the best parts about sharing our knowledge as clarinet players is that this is an oral tradition. We have lots of books, right? But think about the fact that even just me talking to you, you're getting not just my knowledge, but all the knowledge from my clarinet teachers and all of their clarinet teachers, and on and on and on and on. So just because you're listening to me talk or watching any of my videos, if you are aware of the Rose etudes, which are really famous in the clarinet world, you're a direct lineage now from C. Rose, because he was the great grand teacher of my teachers. And being able to teach and share our knowledge is really for me, one of my great joys of being a clarinet player. So that being said, start nice and easy. I have them work on their embouchure. We talk about embouchure because the beautiful sound comes right from the beginning, right? And that's what makes us feel good about playing the clarinet, is sounding good. We don't want to be squeaking. So I double check to make sure their instrument's in good shape, and we start with just the barrel and the mouthpiece. So I have them make a good embouchure, insert the mouthpiece up like this to your top teeth, and play. So we spent a lot of time talking about this embouchure here. If you just start with the mouthpiece, then you don't have to worry about all these keys. Remember when I was talking about squeaking and I'm going through all this stuff? The clarinet is really complicated, and it can be very intimidating. So start right here, and then go ahead and put it back on. And a nice one to start with is hot cross buns. I have a video about that, but it's really simple. F right here in the back, E, D, C, E, D, C, and then they leave that first lesson playing a song, and it's really, really fun, and then you can expand from there. So I have a lot of nice videos where they expand, my beginner clarinet videos, and that helps build the skills and build the confidence in playing. All right, good one. What was my first piece of music? Ooh, playing on the clarinet? First one I learned, or first one I listened to? Greetings from Colombia. Hello, Vivian. First piece of clarinet music. That is a really good question, and I don't remember very much of the very, very first, but I remember the first piece that I learned to play that I thought was so beautiful was Pachelbel's Canon, and I played that for a band audition, I believe, just because I thought it was so pretty. So that was my first one, an arrangement of that. How different is, okay, so we were moving on, and yay, thank you for thanking me and saying I'm nice. Hi, I'm back. Oh, and I lost all my comments, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get back to that. But the question I was answering was, are the fingerings the same for the bass clarinet and the B-flat clarinet? And they are, with the exception of the altissimo range in the bass is different. than the B flat clarinet. You have a lot of really cool, what would be called fake fingerings for the B flat clarinet, but they aren't on the bass. And then it's different because the bass clarinet goes lower than the B flat clarinet. So you're going to have an E flat key here, and then if you have a low C extension, it's going to go even lower than that. Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to get to the comments, because I lost it. Okay, so I'm gonna bump ahead a little bit. Somebody said, what grade am I in? And that is a really kind thing to say, because I haven't been in a grade in a long time. I'm 45 years old, so I have my master's degree is the highest level of education that I have. And I went to music school. I went to music school for 6 years, so I got my graduate and undergraduate degrees in clarinet performance. I went to, I'm not ignoring everybody, I'm looking over here to try and get our comments back, but I went to Manhattan School of Music for my graduate degree, and then I went to Harrod Conservatory of Music for my undergrad degree, and Harrod is now, it is now a ballet. It's just ballet school. It used to be classical and ballet when I went there. Okay, so I'm getting closer to getting the comments. So if I missed your question, go ahead and type it again, because I'm having a little trouble getting back to it. All right, great. Okay, so, alrighty. So different bass clarinet. I am in the school band and I'm renting a clarinet from the school. I want to get my own clarinet. How can you tell which clarinets are good quality and which are bad quality? Wow. Alina, I don't know how to say your name. That is an amazingly good question. So I did a review earlier of a clarinet that would not be considered one of the brand name clarinets, and this is where it gets tricky, because the brand name clarinets have longevity and they have a reputation, and they have it for a reason, because they've been around so long and we know what to expect from them. So clarinets that I would recommend, let's see, what grade are you in? You're in school, it just says school. If you're gonna go for plastic clarinets, I'd say a Jupiter clarinet, Selmer clarinets, Yamaha clarinets are all good for plastics. Boucher isn't bad, Bundy's not bad. The lower the price point, the less quality you get, so that does ring true with the plastic clarinets. Now for wooden clarinets, I do recommend the Buffets, the Bakkuns, Yamahas. Ubel has some fantastic wooden clarinets right now, and the prices are amazing. They have some student models that are absolutely incredible that I really loved them. I got to play those before. So for the price, I think Yamaha and Ubel are spot on. And then Selmer also makes great clarinets. They're my favorite bass clarinets. Buffet is good bass clarinet too. But those are the main brands that we work with that are good. All right. And then, so between good quality and bad quality, I gave you all the top name brands that are good quality normally, but you're going to want to try the clarinet because everybody's different. So you want to know what personally works for you. When you're looking for bad quality, obviously you don't want any cracks or chips or anything. You want to make sure all the pads are sealing and lining up, and then you want to make sure the intonation is good, and the sound is good, and it's easy to play. You want your clarinet to work for you. You don't want to be working to get your clarinet to work for you. All right, Samantha M, I did the something. I don't know what that one is. Okay, so how old am I? 45. What grade are you? I've been playing for 1 year and I'm in grade 2. Yay, congratulations, hello and welcome. I think that's it. Do I have more? Oh, I'm also in jazz band. And how did I juggle regular band and jazz band? Oh, all I did was band. It was just band. I didn't do anything else. I didn't do my homework. I copied ruthlessly from Sarah. Don't tell anybody. No, I think it was different for me when I was in school in the 80s and 90s than it is for people today. You guys your course load seems a lot heavier. You have a lot more extracurricular activities, and I was able to really just coast along and just play in band and have a great time playing in band. I did chorus and orchestra too. Thank you, that helped a lot. Yay, I'm very happy to help. Oh, and yeah, good luck trying to get a clarinet. It's always helpful if you can have somebody be there with you. So if you have your clarinet teacher, if you have one, or your band director, to have somebody guide you, that's really important if you can do that. what is your opinion on plated and non-plated ligatures? I play on a Rovner Mark III. Ooh, I just got one at ClarinetFest, and I want to do a video trying out all my ligatures because I really like that Rovner Mark III. So the plated and the non-plated ligatures. I have nothing to say other than, is it voodoo? Is it not voodoo? I don't know. So for those of you that aren't in the know, a gold-plated ligature is supposed to have a darker sound, and a silver-plated ligature is supposed to have a brighter, more sparkly sound. But here is what I've noticed. If you close your eyes, can you tell a difference? Maybe that's what I should do in the video. I will go ahead and blindfold myself, and I will play the silver-plated one, and I will play the gold-plated one, and then everybody can tell me whether or not they hear a difference, because I can't hear a difference with them. Sometimes it seems like it's a price tag difference. I know. So anyway, Michael Lowenstern, if you haven't gone ahead and subscribed to his YouTube channel, it's absolutely amazing. He does a whole video on that, and I believe he does not like a regular ligature, he does a shoestring compared to a regular ligature, which is hilarious, and it's really telling. Okay, so you are welcome. Oh, am I going to ClarinetFest 2020? I don't think so. I don't think I'm going this year. I think I have a conflict. But it would be really, really fun to go. It's, I think, in Las Vegas or Nevada somewhere. It looks like it's going to be a blast. It's at a really nice resort. So are you going to go? So Tina, if you're going to go, type it in there that you'll be there. So I haven't made up my mind yet. I premiered some works by women composers at the last Clarinet Fest. I didn't apply for this one this time. But, oh, you're going to go. Mason, if you're in Lake Tahoe, isn't that close to Clarinet Fest? You should go. If you haven't gone to Clarinet Fest and you can, do it. It's really fun. It's totally nerdy, and this is coming from somebody that's been to Star Trek conventions. So it's a really, really fun time. You hear a lot of concerts, but the vendor room is my favorite. It's fun to go play clarinets and play equipment and just meet other clarinet nerds like yourself. Okay, oh yeah, you're gonna go to Clarinet Fest, and it's in Reno. Okay, so I haven't made up my mind for sure yet. I won't be performing this year because I was on the fence about going, but yeah, it'll be fun. Okay, struggling with going over the break? Definitely. Okay, so here we go. Over the break. What I see with trouble playing over the break is really the pads of the fingers covering these holes here. So one of the ways you can check is to press real hard on your clarinet and to see if you have circles here. And if you have circles, then you're in good shape. But if you have C's, those are potential squeaks in there. Also, bumping this side G sharp key is one of the problems. So here's what I suggest for practicing going over the break. If you can play a low F, play the low F, and then tap your register key, okay? One of the other traps I see people do is they lift up too high when they hit the register key, and then that causes a squeak, and it's difficult to play over the break there. So play low F, and then tap your register key, and then play F sharp, and tap your register key, and then play G, and tap that register key. You can also do low E. I usually don't start there because that one's a little bit more resistant, but that'll get you that feeling of playing up and down over the break. Now, playing from A to B or A to C and things like that over the break, that's another challenge because that has to do with keeping your fingers curved and close and covering those holes securely. Can you help playing high C in D? So my question is high C as in this one or high C as in this one? So if you can clarify if it's middle C or if it's high C, that would be great. Oh, Mason, you live in South Louisiana and you can't make it. Yeah, no, I'm in Virginia, so that's kind of why I'm on the fence, because it's a lot of money to travel out there for me. For the last one, I could just drive. Oh no, Reese, and you're squeaking on the clarinet. I actually addressed that earlier on, so it's high C right here. Okay, so I'm going to answer this high C one. I'm going to double check our time. Let's make sure I have enough time to get to the questions. Reese, you might want to go back, if that's how I say your name, and watch the beginning of this because I addressed the squeaking. So, high C. This is a lot to do with voicing, air, and air. assuming that you have the right reed and the right mouthpiece. So one of the reasons I'm not a fan of the stock mouthpieces that come in the cases is that it's very hard to get the higher notes out in the clarinet. So if you're having problems with the stock mouthpiece and you have access to try a Phobes mouthpiece, a height mouthpiece, any of the Van Dorens, any of the D'Addario mouthpieces, that will help a lot. If your reed is too light and your goal is to get the high C, go ahead and put a half string on higher. It's going to feel stuffy and it's going to be hard to play for some of the notes, but it'll get you that feeling of getting up to the C, and then you can go back to your other reed if you want to. So my suggestion for playing and practicing up to high C is if you can get to G, start here and slur G, A, B, C. And then try A, B, C, and then try B, C. Then, once you've got that, go back. G, A, B, C, C, and keep that air moving and rearticulate the C. A, B, C, C, and rearticulate the C. B, C, C, and rearticulate the C. So that's how I practice that one. Now, altissimo is what you're talking about with getting to the high D. One of the ways you can practice that one is play an F with your register key here, right? And then roll off there. And that should give you a very lovely squeak, which is also known as a D. And then you can practice getting that voicing and feeling that in your upper, sort of inside your face there. Okay. 2021 is in Fort Worth, Texas. Oh, wow. I thought it would be in Europe somewhere or Asia. So that's great. We get three years in a row in America. Excellent. I might be able to get to the Fort Worth, Texas. I don't know the dates though. What is the highest note in the clarinet? There's no high note. It is indefinite. You can just keep on going. The highest note that we normally play in band is high G. There are lots of different fingerings for high G. You can play a high A, you play G sharp. A lot of people like to show off and play a high C, but you can keep on going. Go listen to some Robert Spring recordings or David Krakauer recordings. Go hear them live. They just keep on playing higher and higher and higher and higher in the clarinet. Technically, I mean, it's indefinite because you can just do more and more alternative fingerings. Air consistent. Oof. And how can I keep my air consistent over the break? Okay, so one of the ways I talk to people about helping them over the break is to crescendo that air, to really punch that air through over the break. Okay, so really just move it through and just push through. Now, I need you to double check though to make sure your clarinet doesn't have a leak, because a lot of times we have a leak on this B key right here. So try it with a B with your pinky down on the C key at the same time. If that's easier to play and then you lift it up and it's resistant to play, you probably have a leak in the seating of your B key and you're going to want to have that looked at. That's what makes it hard. A lot of times people think it's them and then it's their clarinet, and then I feel like a hero when I'm like, no, it's not you, it's your clarinet. So go ahead and just make sure your clarinet is working okay. I have a clarinet soprano, which is the best for beginners. Yeah, B-flat clarinet, sometimes they're called soprano clarinets. Yeah, I mean, you could start on bass. Bass is big, so if you're a small person, starting on bass is challenging. I have heard of people starting on the E-flat clarinet, which is the piccolo clarinet, so if you've seen that one, it's really tiny, and I think Larry Combs started on the E-flat. And there is also another small student clarinet where the keys are covered like a flute. It's just very heavy. When you have more metal on it, the clarinet is heavy. So I've seen those two for starting clarinets. All right, why don't I take one more question and then I will wrap it up. Thank you everybody for coming to my live stream. And I look forward to doing more of these, so I'm gonna try and get them in more than I have in the past. No more questions? Looks like it's good. All right, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed talking to everybody today, and have a happy new year. Bye. Of course, now I have to figure out how to stop it.